Alright, here I am at the new Lothrop Road railroad crossing number 2 in Durand, Michigan. Now this crossing right here is a rather neat railroad crossing I decided to stop by and tour, owned by the C.N. Holly subdivision, which is pretty much, you know, the subdivision that connects Durand to Detroit. And pretty much this crossing right here is actually one of, if not the first crossing on the Holly sub, because down there you can see that's the Durand yard and also the highway, pretty much where it all begins and whatnot, and past that is basically just here on an eastern and Great Lakes Central territory. And down there is a new Lothrop Road number 1. You can kind of see it down there, which I got that crossing in action about a couple times. One time when I was catching our 944 and stuff. That crossing down there has some basic equipment, but this crossing, however, has some pretty interesting equipment, like a neat combination of like lights and whatnot, and per se, just like general things that you normally don't see on CN, not anymore. Well, not anymore, like I said. But yeah, I guess with all that said, I'll explain everything as I go on. So with all that said, let's get on to it. So for the first signal, this has a GRS base. And here's the emergency information and the dot number. And the dot number is 284424R. Yep, and there's that. And for the gate mechanism, this has a GRS Type D gate mechanism with the WRS rebranding. And the gate lights are Ricoh LED gate lights, and there's no wind guard on this one. I believe these replaced some incandescent gate lights in the past. But yeah, and the lights on this one are 2 pairs of Hawker and Safetran 12x24-inch dialight LEDs, all sitting on a GRS light bracket. Now, one thing worth mentioning is that at least the back pair of lights, the back pair of lights here actually replaced a pair of GRS Lexi 12x20-inch incandescent lights in the past, and the front lights here used to be incandescent. This crossing used to be a lot more interesting back then, but I figured I'd tour it today anyway since it's still pretty interesting. But yeah, and for the bell on this one, this has a Siemens low-tone electronic bell. So yep, and this replaced a mechanical bell in the past of some sort, I believe Western Cullen Hayes. So yeah, that right there is the first signal. Quite neat stuff. Like I said, it used to have incandescent lights in the past, one pair being GRS Lexi 12x20-inchers. And I'm really glad that they still kept the gate mechanism here, because these GRS Type D gate mechanisms used to be common on the CN Flint sub, but they're all pretty much replaced by now. But not these ones. These ones are still here on the CN Holly sub, though. So yeah, I guess with that said, let's move on to the next signal. So for the second signal, which is kind of similar to the first, this one has another GRS base. And here's the emergency information once again. And for the gate mechanism on this one, this has a GRS Type D gate mechanism without the WRS rebranding, which these are slightly more rare than the WRS rebranded ones. The CN Flint sub used to have quite the handful of these specific, typical, particular gate mechanisms. Geez, I cannot think of the right words to say today. But like I said, they're all pretty much extinct, and there's a deer running across over there. But yeah. And I guess, for the gate lights on this one, this has Ricoh LED gate lights and no wind guard on the mast. And as you can see, there's the protractor on the gate arm, which is pretty cool. And for the lights on this one, this has 1 pair of Safetran 12x24-inch dialight LEDs and 1 pair of Hawker and Safetran 12x20-inch dialight LEDs, all sitting on a GRS light bracket. Now, I believe all of these lights used to be incandescent in the past, or I think these back pair, once again, used to be GRS Lexi 12x20-inch lights, and the front ones are dialight LEDs. But yeah, and for the bell on this one, this also has a low-pitch Siemens electronic bell. And would you look at that, CN L508 has arrived. And that's the train I'm currently waiting for. So what it's actually going to do, it's going to go through the Flint sub, and then wind around the highway all the way through here. And there is somebody flying a drone in the air. That's quite cool. So somebody's probably going to try to get that sky shot of it rounding the highway all the way through Durand and through here. Pretty neat. But yeah, this has another Siemens low-tone E-bell, as I said, which also replaced a mechanical bell in the past. Western Cullen Hayes, probably. But yeah, I guess with all that said, that was the equipment to show here on New Lothrop Road number 2. Here's the relay case, sitting at milepost 66.05. So if you technically look at it this way, this is actually the end of the Holly sub. So yeah, I guess with that said, let's go and take a look at the track view. Down there is heading northwest, right towards the Durand yard where GLC and HESR use nowadays, and as well as the old pit siding, which is, you know, very unused. They once stored some auto racks here, but, not all the time. But, yeah, like I said, it's hardly used, and down there's the highway and whatnot. But yeah, and down there is heading southwest or southeast, not southwest, southeast, where you can see Control Point Pit, which is where GLC usually goes to head south in the Ann Arbor district. You can see we have a southbound signal aspect for CN L508, and as you can see down there, new Lothrop Road number 1 has activated for L508. So let's go ahead and watch that go through. Yep, there's the power. Looks like an M-2. And pretty much since this train is lying through the highway, it's going to be heading west on the Flint subdivision and then turning south in Durand down there and then go through here. Kind of cool how it works. So yeah, I guess all that said, this was the new Lothrop Road railroad crossing number 2 in Durand, Michigan. Pretty neat stuff. I'm about to get this crossing in action here in a little bit with my camcorder, so I guess all that said, look out for that video unless I post this after. So yeah, with that said, over and out.